So welcome to the second edition of our Quickstart program. It's the business plan and getting organized. We put this business plan up front after Quickstart 1 for a reason. We believe the business plan needs to be established early when you first start your career, because you're going to need to really get going on your business as quickly as possible. And each person has a different plan and some people are part-time, full-time, some people have full-time jobs, others don't. But I would think that the majority of the people starting in the business want to start making a decision of what they're going to do, what actions they're going to do to accomplish what goals, because everybody's going to have a goal, but it's going to be slightly different from everyone. Our core programs, which was the very first Quick Start, has already been done. That's on YouTube as well. And that was getting up onto our systems, making sure the passcodes are working, making sure you're hooked up with our CRM and website. And we're going to do a review of that. But very first, something new to our company, we're going to be starting to use Google Classroom. So the Google Classroom can be located in your account when you're signed in with your Century 21 email. Up on the right-hand side, you'll bring down your apps, and hopefully everybody can see my screen. At the bottom of your apps, you will have access to some of the extra apps that Century 21 and we provide. One of them being like 21 Online, which is Century 21's online system. Back at You Media, Campus 21, Hub 21, the Resource Center for Century 21, Real Satisfied's there, your production tracker's there. So these are all good apps that are all single sign-on with your Century 21 email address. The next one is Google Classroom, that it should be there as well. And we will be able to, as managers, invite you to the different sessions. So as you can see here, I'm actually signed in as something called Heritage Drive. So it's just a sort of one of our made up accounts. So I can impersonate as an agent. And I've invited myself to two sessions, which is Quick Start 1 and 2. Two's today. We'll progress all the way through 6. And again, your manager would be able to invite you to a Google Classroom, which will have these sessions in there. It's a lot easier now if you click on section 2 or Quick Start 2. Within this section, you can type postings just like a Facebook wall. You know, you can type in comments if you're looking for something, looking for help. And anyone that is taking Quick Start 2 will also be able to see that and help. And it's good for networking on the main screen, right? Just posting things to a wall, and you can announce something to your class. The classwork is at the top. And that's going to be the presentation we're going to go through today. So there's a presentation that if you click on that, it'll go to it. And also the PDF materials, anything within the presentation that we want you to accomplish or do, or any resources will be below. And in this case, we have 3 different PDF material that you can click on. Sometimes there'll be videos, other time websites, etc. Today's session is strictly on a business plan. So we're going to be talking about the business plan worksheet, as well as just some time management tools with week at a glance and month at a glance. So they're there for you as well. But to get going and get started, I'm going to click on the presentation, and we're going to go through that today. So we'll open that PDF up and go through our business plan. I'm going to try and make it as big as possible for you. There we go. Hopefully everybody can see that fine. So developing a business plan. Every good business needs a goal to reach, a plan to organize, and systems to execute the plan. So we can help you achieve the success by providing the framework. We are going to give you the framework. We're going to give you some action plans and some actionable items and systems in order to implement within your business plan in order to achieve those goals. So we're first going to do a review from last week. We're going to talk about business planning, and then look into time blocking and accountability, as well as some tax planning stuff, which is always good for all business plans. So a review from session 1. If you have not already, you should have subscribed to our YouTube training channel. That was in session 1. Have your remarketer website, right? So you're able to sign in, you're able to get that up and running. You do have the videos on the YouTube training channel to show you how to do that. There's a video there too. Number 3, have the authorized listings with TREB. So you can't have listings on a website without authorization from TREB. So you do need to fill that in. If you're not a TREB member, you're a RAB member, that's okay. That's done through RAB. And those RAB allows us to actually authorize all of our agents all at once. So it's a little easier with RAB, but TREB wants each individual agents to authorize different feeds. So hopefully you've done that. How many homes did you see since last session? Now we want to have some accountability with all our Quickstart programs. And throughout Quickstart, right through 1 through 6, we're going to keep asking you, what's the market like? What if somebody asked you today, what's the market, what's happening in real estate? You should be able to give them some pretty specific examples of things that are selling, what's happening in a specific area. And again, this is a generic session. So for a generic agent, I'm just going to say no an area. No, if it's Richmond Hill that you happen to be working in, then you should know what's happening with detached homes and townhouses in Richmond Hill. If you're out in Hamilton, same thing. Just you keep an eye on every single day what is coming onto the market and what is selling, what it's selling for. Really pay attention to that. That is so important with your business because that's what you're selling. You're selling a service, but you're also selling houses. And if you don't know anything about the market, people are not going to choose you as a realtor. Did you add a minimum of 10 contacts into your CRM? So right from the beginning, we got you signed up with Remarketer. And part of Quickstart 1 was just, start putting people in there. This is going to be a big part of your business plan. In every session, we want you to add another 10 contacts. And that can't just be first name, last name, telephone number. We want you to really know your content. It's a book of business you're building, and it's called a sphere of influence. And these people know you. So you need to remind them that you're in the business. And we're going to be putting some of those reminders in place today, as well as making sure that that is an organized retention management system and it's working for you. So we need those people in there, and we need addresses. I would say 90% of the advertising you're going to do or reminders you're going to do for your CRM from a productivity standpoint, or for it to be effective, you're going to need to have the addresses, because those things you're going to mail out or drop by need to have an ad. You need to know where they live. Okay, and if you don't know where they live, they're not really a close friend, and you need those close contacts, friends, clients in order to ask for business and remind them that you're in the business. Number 6. Have you completed the mandatory FinTrack video seminar? And I think we've done that a few times now with the orientation as well as Quickstart 1. So most of you should have, or all of you should have already had that filled out. So that's good. So it was character that got us out of bed, commitment that moved us into action, and discipline that enabled us to follow through. And the following through is the key. We need to make sure that everyone is following through on their business plan. And as much as we're going to spend some time talking about actionable items today, if you don't follow through on them, you're not going to have success in real estate. I only see like under 1% of realtors that luck into something. Okay. Success is based on opportunity and time. So if you have the opportunity and they put in the time to create the results, you're lucky. But the real luck doesn't really exist in real estate. You can luck into things, but it's very few and far between. You've got to complete the actions. So where does your business come from? So if you're thinking today, where am I going to start my business? Right? We need to talk about, where does your business come from in real estate? And really, we've narrowed it down to 3 areas. One being the people that know you already. Okay. Your friends, your family, people, acquaintances, teachers, lawyers, your dentist, your doctor, your, hairdresser, all those people know who you are. If you were to say, hi, Sarah, they should be able to say, hey, Aaron, and that means they know you. So that is your sphere of influence. And that is a key component to where your business is going to come from, especially from the beginning. The second one is paid advertising, right? You can buy your business. There are people that have got into the business, very quickly did a business plan and decided that they had a budget. Let's say if it was $50,000, right? They have a $50,000 budget in order to put towards a paid advertising program. Then it's a return on investment, right? So you are going to invest your money and you're going to see a return on that. Now we can help you with that as well. And that is another way of getting business. There's no doubt. And then, in fact, a lot of businesses run that way. They advertise to get customers in the front door. And the third one is prospecting. And that is really supporting a sphere of influence as well, because you're meeting new people and you're going to become friends with them or become a professional relationship in some way with them. So how are you going to get in front of people? And prospecting takes time. So number 2 and number 3, two is paid advertising, so it's money. And number 3 is prospecting, which is time. So time and money are the only 2 other areas that you're going to have in order to prosper, get clients or business from, if you haven't already built out a good sphere of influence. So we've broken down the business plan into 3 areas, and we're going to show you that. Okay. What you want to do is make sure you do focus on one area at a time. A good business plan is going to have at least a year full of actions. Okay. It's not going to be it's not going to be about what's happening, what am I going to do this week or next week. It's what am I going to do over the next year? And in order to implement one thing at a time, to get it up and going, and then within that year, accomplish something and do it really, really well. And if you have 50 things you want to do really, really well, chances are you're not going to get those 50 things done really well. You want to focus on one thing at a time, really maximize it, and then move on to the next one. So be careful with that and make that choice as to what things to focus on first. But I will tell you, is it easier, or I'm going to ask, I'll ask a question, it's rhetorical, and I'm going to get everybody answering me, but is it easier to do business with somebody that already knows you or a complete stranger, right? And it is easier, obviously, to do business with somebody you already know. They have a trust for you already. They either like you, they trust you, or they need you to help them purchase a house or sell a house. Right. So it's the number that there's a few numbers I'd love you to write down, because if you put it on your wall and remember these numbers, you'll build a good plan around it. 85% of our realtors in our company, because we have the numbers, 85% of our realtors business comes from the people that they already know. So it's either repeat business, referral business, or friends and family. Okay, this is where 85% of realtors business come from. And we know that because we have a statistical program called Real Satisfied that asks those questions of all our clients, and they give us the answers, and we know those percentages. We also know the percentages for all of Canada, because all of Canada has Real Satisfied for Century 21, and it happens to be 85%. It's very, very consistent. We also know that number because every trainer in this business, if you ask them, you ask the Brian Buffini's, Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Rob Vivian, Chris Leader, these are all trainers and coaches in our business. They will tell you between 80 and 85% of a realtor's business will come from their sphere of influence. They'll tell you that, every single one of them. So if we are going to focus our time, money, advertising, everything on something from the beginning to maximize that first, the obvious solution would be to look at your sphere of influence, not just because the 85%, but also because if you build a great foundational program to support those people, even the new business that you get and the prospective business and the paid advertising business will funnel into a system that will continuously remind them that you're in the business. It'll also support them and build that out as a great business plan. So that's why it's so important. So going on to the next slide, there we go. We are going to look at your business plan summary, and we've divided it into 3 sections. The first page is sphere of influence. The second page is paid advertising, and the third page is a prospecting worksheet. Okay. So we're going to start with the first page. And typically, I don't go further with a business plan in terms of actionable items or even in the next 6 months until the first section is complete. But it's good to have a plan of what you're going to put in place in order for you to look at a full picture. So we're going to go through all 3 of them. But the very first thing is very, very important. Now, all good business plans have good goals. At the top of the business plan summary sheet, we have your name and date. If you were to take a full course on business planning, this is a quick start course, okay, but a full course on business planning, the first thing they would do, the full half of the course will be to talk about your personal expenses. I know that's, to me, I was always, get to the business plan, but the reality is that you need to make a decision is how much money do you really need to be to make in this business just to stay in this business, to be a career in real estate. So taking your personal expenses and seeing, okay, well, I need a car and I need to pay for part of my mortgage, or I need to have extra money for clothes and family and food and all this kind of stuff. You need to figure that out, right? And so that's why we do have that section, but we're not going into depth on that today. We're just going to look at obviously your business, but you can put that there if you have it. Your yearly business expenses. So what are you going to spend in your business? And right now we don't know that. We're going to go through the business plan, and then you can put that number in there as soon as you have a good idea of what your budget is for your business. Okay. The income that you had in the last 365 days, if you're brand new in the industry, you're going to put 0. Income goal for the next 365 days. Well, that's what we're going to hopefully calculate for you. Okay, so the very first section is there's a good number that I'm going to give you that is a good way to calculate what your goal should be just from your sphere of influence. And in order to come up and explain this a little bit in more detail, the exercise is, how many people do you know, right? I like to put it in the ways, how many people can you get addresses for? Because if you can't get an address, I don't think you really know them. Right? I can't consider somebody without an address part of your sphere of influence, because they're not an influencer. If you don't know where they live, that's not great. You're not going to be able to do enough with them in order to consider that towards your projected income goal. Okay. So if you can give me a number of the addresses, and that's the first assignment you're going to have today, is let's figure out that number. Go through your phone, go through your Facebook, go through your Instagram, go through everything that you have. You may have a Rolodex, old Rolodex. Find out how many people realistically you can get addresses for. Okay. And these are sphere of influence. Some people have said, oh, I've got 1,000 people on my phone. Yeah, but you have 1,000 addresses. Do you really know those 1,000? Pick your top 100 and give me a list of 100 to start, and I can help you from there. Some people have 30. Some people have 6. I had one person have 2 because she moved from Montreal, knew nobody here, no influence whatsoever. I said, well, then this whole section, I want you to have a newsletter. I want you to put the one person on it. But what I want you to do is really start looking at other ways to prospect. So everyone's business plan is going to be different. I hope you know at least 30 to 40 to 50 people that you can put addresses for. I want to get you to 100, because at 100, I can tell you, and we're going to do some simple math, and it is divide 7, which is on average what people move. It's 5 to 7 years, and we're going to go on the latter side of that just to be safe, and say, let's divide your 100 people and say that divided by 7, because if they move every 7 years, 14, and that's the number you'd put in there if you have 100 here, 14 here. You have 14 potential deals just sitting there waiting for you, because they're going to be either buying or selling. Investment properties, buying, moving. Now, each one of them, all 100, also know at least 2 people that are going to be buying and selling next year. So there's a potential for another, 200 opportunities. Now, you're going to need to really work on those for referrals. Those are your A clients, but they add to that as well, right? And out of the 14 that are buying and selling, they also have to buy and sell. So meaning, if I'm buying a property, I may have a property to sell, or if I'm selling property, I may have an opportunity to buy. So now the number that I don't have on here, but I want you to remember this number and shoot for this number, is when we do this and we divide by 7, we get 14, and then 14 is the amount of deals that we're going to project. It's actually 14%. And it's weird because we came up with this number from one coaching program. Another coaching program actually tells you it's 14% on average of a return on your sphere of influence. So if you have 100 people, you should do 14 deals from 100 people. That's the industry average. Okay. If you do a better job, because you are suggesting that, or you're keeping them in tune with what's happening in real estate. You're sending them some gifts. You're stopping by. You're talking to them, reminding them they really love you, and they're people that will give you referrals. You'll be upwards of 20. I just did a calculation for somebody the other day that's just strictly a sphere of influence person. He has 30 people on his sphere of influence, and he's at 26% return for this year on his sphere, because those people are loyal to him, and he's built out 30 really good relationships. So he's going to do 8 deals. And if actually yesterday, his average deal was 12 and a half. So we made 12,500 on each deal, times that by the 8, and you get $100,000 potential income. So now we know that his potential income, his was 100,000. If you're doing this, 100 people divide by 7 and multiply by the projected average commission. Right now, commission's gone up because the price of homes have gone up. If you're in Thornhill, you're probably over 15,000. If you're in Hamilton, maybe you're at 12,000, maybe you're at 10,000. There's a difference in average price, but commissions also take into account in terms of how much you charge. But I like to put these days 15,000 there, right? So if you have 100 people, 14%, 150,000 is your potential income. Okay, that is on the lowest end. Okay, we have been conservative on all those numbers, and we're saying on average you should be able to make 100. If you're not making 150 and you have 100 people with addresses and you're doing all the things I'm going to suggest, you will be making 150,000. If you do it really well, you should be closer to 300,000, to be honest with you. Okay, but we're not there yet, right? We want to give you a reasonable goal. And I think 150,000, especially for the first few years in the business, is pretty good, right? I brought on a client of mine, she'll remember this, and her first year she did 140,000. I think it was closer to 150,000 in her first year, and she was very, very good with her sphere of influence. And we did this business plan and everything. So we went through this whole thing, and in the first year she did make the 150. She was our rookie of the year. She got a nice little award, and she did fantastic. So this is achievable, and this was what you should be doing for you, just to get a goal of what potential income you can make from your sphere of influence. The next section breaks down just a little bit further about friends and family, past clients, and referrals. I typically use this section here for existing agents that have a business. Maybe they have 20 deals, and I can break it down to, are you doing business with friends and family, or is it just past clients? Are you getting a lot of referrals because you're doing a great job with referrals? I like to look at that because if the referral number is low, we know we need to work on getting more A clients. And if they already say they have A clients, your A clients give you referrals. Okay, that's how an A client's made an A client. An A client is not an A client because you like them. Okay, it's not that your nicest clients and they do the best job for you and gave you a gift and a nice testimonial. That's not an A client. An A client may not even be a client. Okay, an A contact could be somebody that's given you 10 referrals last year, didn't buy and sell at all, right? So that's your A person because they do give the referrals. So we want to look at that. If you're new to the business, you're not going to have this section. That's okay. We'll move down to the actionable items, which is under the systems right here. And these are the top systems in the industry, rated from number 1 down to the bottom, which in terms of where most of our business comes from, okay, within the sphere of influence. Newsletters is at the top. The reason why newsletters, and I should, and I will, I'll get to it, modify this a little. I want to make sure that you understand newsletters is a written newsletter. It is a paper newsletter that's been mailed, okay, with a stamp on it and goes to the front door and they open it. Okay, it's not an email newsletter. Email newsletters are down at the bottom because they're a little ineffective. Okay, and I say a little ineffective. They still have an effect, but it doesn't have as much of an effect as somebody sending a paper copy of a newsletter. These newsletters we do from the company standpoint. This is I guess one of the claim to fame for the company in the last 33 years. Pam, when she first started the company, she was so big on the newsletter program because it worked so well for a lot of agents. As that was her training. Her training was to get on the newsletter program, remind people you're in the business, and people weren't doing it. And she said, "Listen, what if I did it for you? What if I wrote the newsletter? I put it on your desk and you hand it out." And they did that, and it was on their front desk, and nobody was handing them out. She said, "Well, what if I put it in an envelope and put a stamp on it and put it in the mail for you? Would you do it then?" Sure, we'd do it then. So it evolved over the years to the point where we just do it for you. All the way to the point where now with a remarketer system, you put in the information and we will automatically go in, take your list, put it onto an envelope, put it onto a newsletter, put the stamp on, send it out. We'll do all the work for you. Okay. It costs, I think, $1.40 per person per month. Okay. I've been doing a newsletter for 16 years. Okay. I used to sell, I was a top producer with a top team in the company. And every one of the people on my team were doing newsletters. And to this day, they still do the newsletters, and it is their number one source of income. They're also the top team in the company. Now, I do not sell anymore. My business, I still like to keep in touch with people. I still like to, be actively in the real estate business, but I don't actively sell. So that's just, the team looks after my past business, but I still send it. Why? I still believe in it. I still believe that somebody should get something from me once a month just to say, hey, I'm here. If you need anything, build the company's income. Right. So newsletters, so important. Number one program. Why? It's not the most personal program. Right. So I'm not saying it's the most personal program. I'm not saying it's creating clients, but what it's doing is it's a system that reminds people on an ongoing basis all the time that I'm here, and I'm here for them if they need anything. And people tend to forget. Right. So it's automated. And the reason it does so well is because of the automation. We get busy, we forget to do things. If there was one thing I was consistent with always, all the time, it was the newsletters, right? So I attribute all the business I do have done in the past to the newsletter system. So I spent a little bit more time on the newsletters because I think it's the most important thing. And there's other systems out there and newsletters, like don't feel free, but if you've got to send them. Right. Our system works well. We've been doing it for 33 years. And if you're interested, please contact Joseph. And that would be one of your goals at the bottom here. Start writing down the things and say, okay, Aaron, I believe you. I'll try it. And don't, by the way, I shouldn't say that. Don't try anything. Okay. The newsletters is not a try thing. Okay. You can try other things. Don't try a newsletter. Do the newsletter. If you have a license in real estate, you have a newsletter. Bottom line. Don't try it. I've had people try it and come back and say, I didn't get anything. Well, how long were you sending it? Well, I've been sending for the last 6 months. It doesn't work that way, right? I've been sending for 16 years, right? There's a difference between something that's been sent out 400 times in the last 16 years. You think somebody would consider using me? Yes. 6 times doesn't create results, right? So don't try it, just do it, right? So that's a doing program. So sign up, put that goal in there. You'll be contacting, you can always use your manager as a resource, but Joseph in marketing. So it's our marketing support email that you would send that off to. Okay. It's also on Remarketers Hub. It's a newsletter program. Click on it, fill in the blanks, and we'll get Joseph get in touch with you and get you set up on that. Okay. The number 2 is pop buys. Okay. So pop buys are, we're going to call it a Brian Buffini system. And I'm going to use Brian Buffini's name because if you ever get a chance to take his course, we just finished one in the spring. He is the number 1 trainer in the world when it comes to repeat referral business. Okay. So if anybody does sphere of influence well, it's Brian Buffini's system. Okay. So we take pop buys from that system. A pop buy is stopping by the house to say hi face to face, right? And it's dropping off a little gift. Okay. And the gift, I wish I actually had one. I should have got one for today, but it's a little card that says something creative like, let me give you the scoop on the real estate industry. Let me give you the scoop on the market this month or something like that. Or call me for the scoop on real estate. There you go. And then it's an ice cream scoop. It's just a $3 item, a $5 item, but you're dropping it by and just as a marketing piece, right? And it's a little creative, sometimes cheesy, sometimes fun. Popcorn. We've done barbecue lighters, barbecue brushes, scrapers for your car, chip bag clip holders. And each one of them has a little creative saying. I always point people towards a website. Just type in Google, pop buys, Pinterest. Okay. Pinterest is a site that gives you the ability to put all these ideas online. And there's a lady there that has 300 pop buy ideas for you. She's put them on there. She's done them all up in GIFs and showed you exactly what they look like. And that is the best site to go to find a pop buy idea. Okay. If you need any of them, let us know too. Even Joseph has cards printed and stuff that we can help you with. We'll get you a pop buy idea. Pop buys are little gifts that I like to do twice a year. You can do them 3 times a year. You can do them once a year, but I like twice a year. So when I'm going through the systems and saying, yes, I'm going to do the newsletter, the next one I will do pop buys twice a year. I used to do in the fall, I would do pumpkins. right? Every one of my clients would get a pumpkin pie recipe, a nice little saying, drop them by. And then the spring, I'd usually revolve it around, I typically revolved it around Easter with chocolate or bunnies or, stuff like that. But there's lots of ideas out there. Do 2 a year and spend $5 a pop by. So when you go over to your projected, the amount of them, you've got 100 people on your sphere of influence list twice a year, that's 200 pop buys. You can put that there as 200. And how much you're going to spend? 2 and 5, $1,000. So there's $1,000 investment there. As well, the newsletter is 1,400, right? So now you're up to 2,400. And as you go through, you're going to put your budget. So you finally get down to your budget down to the bottom. And you're also going to put your goals at the bottom. So meaning I need to get my pop buys up and going by the end of August, right? So, and hold yourself accountable to that. The next one is calls. Everyone should get a call 4 times a year, right? I did up a call sheet. It was just a spreadsheet with everybody's name and the months at the top. And I just wanted to make sure at least everyone was getting a call from me once a year. The way that Rob Vivian does it, he's another coach in our industry. He says, call 1/11th of your sphere every week. So that's 10, for example, if you have 100 people divided, it's actually 11, but whatever, 10 people a week. So this week, I just need to make touch with 10 people. So I put that into my business plan as well. Call 10 people a week, maybe schedule a time to do that. And we're going to actually get to scheduling and time accountability with our worksheets as we go forward. So calls, I want to make 4 times 100, 400 calls every year, cost me 0. The next one is note cards. I love note cards. I wish I did more of them in my business when I was selling. I think note cards are one of the more personal ways. You'll develop actually your A clients by doing your pop buys and note cards. A clients give you referrals. Those are the most important people. So I'd like to look at doing like 2 note cards a day would be a good average, even 1 a day or 5 a week. It doesn't matter as long as you're doing them. Okay. So having the note cards there, there's 52 weeks in a year. I say 44 of them are productive because you take time off. So 44 weeks, let's say you do 5, even just 5 note cards a week, 44 times 5, that's 220 note cards that you're going to send out. So you're going to need 220 stamps and 220 envelopes and cards. So you're going to spend about $300 there. So you put that as your budget. Okay, so 4, we've gone to 4. If you can get 4 of these done in the next year, okay, you'll do your 150, no problem. You actually do more than that. Okay, first year, maybe you do 150, next year do 200, then 300. Okay, that's what you're going to project to do if you did those 4 items. The next ones, okay, are add-ons. They're great, right? Calendars, events, birthday cards, emails, which is like an email newsletter. I know you're going to do the email newsletter anyway, because you're on the Remarketer program, and that's one of the nurturing things, and it's very easy to set up. It's also the easiest things are the least effective. Okay, I like them. Don't get me wrong. You should do them, right? You should do social media. You should do videos. You should do emails and all this sort of great stuff that people are talking about. That is not what consistently gets you business. These 4 things do. Okay, the rest of them are shots in the dark. Right? They're email touches. A lot of people don't like emails because they're spam. They go into spam. They don't like receiving them. They think they're low class. They're not high class, a lot of different things, right? You should still do some sort of email touch, right? So I like special occasions. There are 2 things on your Remarketer program with emails that you're going to turn on in your nurturing for each contact. One is a newsletter, which is an email newsletter, and the other one's special occasions. Okay, what I did was I sent a personal email. I sent a newsletter and did the pop buys and calls and note cards, but the newsletters were the thing that were consistent. So I didn't send a newsletter twice. What I did do is a special occasions, but I don't mind you doing it twice. So I don't mind sending, doing the newsletter by email as well as the special occasions. It's also in there. It's up to you. The rest of them, so you got calendars, pretty self-explanatory. You send a calendar to them once a year. Seems to be a real estate thing, so we put it on there. And when we looked at all the statistics, calendars was one of the most readily used by agents in their marketing. Events, if you're a top producer, if you've done some good business over the last few years, you really should have a customer appreciation event. So that's part of a good business plan. And if you haven't done the business, that's okay too. You still host an event. One of our agents consistently did a Easter egg hunt in one of the local parks, and you put them in the little plastic containers, the chocolates, so they don't get obviously ruined and eaten or whatever. But She put in the, anyway, so she did an Easter egg hunt. Other events could be like garage sale week for an area. You can do an ice cream truck as an event for neighborhood kids if you're going to be doing your farming program and stuff like that. So the events is a good one. But you know, events can, the other good thing with events, if you want to talk, we could talk a lot about events, but is to maybe even jump on to an event that's already being established by the town. A lot of the towns still do like evening in the park, movie in the park. They do Princess and Pirates. They did in Newmarket recently, and they're always looking for sponsorship. And to put on an event like Princess and Pirates, the one that the town does, probably costs around $10,000, right? They're looking for a sponsorship of $1,000. So you're paying 10%, but you're asking for a lot to be able to hand out, meet people, talk to people at the event. Why not put it on and be a part of it and not have to spend the whole amount? So you can also jump onto events. Lots of different options there. Birthday cards, that's one I always wish I nailed down. I never really did a great job of birthday cards. I wanted to all the time. I do a birthday thank you wish or thank you birthday best wishes by email now with the remarketer system. So I have it by email. And a lot of you get those from me, and I get good response from them because all the agents in the company get a birthday email from me, which is good. So it works. It's just, if you got a card that was handwritten from me that said happy birthday, I think you would be pretty impressed, right? So I wish all of you could get one from me. That takes a bit of time, right? But that is personal. That's great. It's a great program. So here's your systems. I want you to implement the 4 of them. Start with the newsletters and work your way down, and put a goal date for those. And then you'll have a budget. Your budget probably for, let's say 100 people is going to be $3,000 to $4,000, but it's $450,000 of return on investment. Okay. So we call this return on relationship, and a return on a relationship's 1,000 times. Like, it is a huge return. Okay. It's not a lot of money. So, so make sure that that if you're thinking about spending what you're going to be spending your money on or spending your time with, that the sphere of influence is where you're going to start, and get this as a foundational program. Because when we get into now paid advertising, right, all the people you're going to meet that you're going to be doing paid advertising is going into get a newsletter, a pop by, a call me, because you're going to build relationships. This is a relationship business. If you're not building relationships, you're not doing business. Okay, that's bottom line. So, but you can buy it, right? And that's our second sheet. You can buy your business. And a lot of our agents do that. And it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, actually. And in fact, because of something called return on investment, you can scale it much better than your relationships. What I mean by that is, yes, relationships are the key part to a good business. But if you want to be $1 million producer or more, you got to be a paid advertiser, because you cannot scale relationships very well. You only have a certain amount of time to build relationships, and those are going to maximize in and around that $500,000 range, right? 500,000 is because you do a great job with relationships. Any more than that, it's because you have a good business plan that has a return on investment. So paid advertising's ROI. If you ever see ROI on anything, it's return on investment. So you have a source for return on investment. You have the amount that you spend on that, okay, and the amount that you made on that in the past, as well as what you budget for the future. Okay, below are some suggested paid programs, right? Newspapers used to be a big one, no longer as big. You can still do a good job in a newspaper. I know there's a lot of, for example, a lot of our agents are in the Persian newsprints, right? And then they do well for them. But so does, 500 other agents that you see on in those prints. It's almost like it's just advertising, which gives very little other information. It's crazy. But newspaper can be effective. There's real estate news, homes and land. These are all paid publications. Bench advertising and bus advertising, television, Google, Facebook, pay-per-click, all the online stuff is now a great viable option for a paid program. Newsletter program, radio, farm flyer, just listed, sold, yellow pages, calendar, magnets, networking groups, sponsoring people. Each one of them has its own business plan. Okay. So we're not going to go into detail of any single one of these. Okay. I know that there are certain ones that are very effective and that I can get you onto right away. You need a budget and then we can make it work. Okay. But there has to be a return and it has to be done properly. The one I will touch on real quick is farming, a farm flyer program. So it's geographical farming. That tends to be the big one that you'll see, the big agents in the area that are selling all the real estate that you see that are making multi-millions of dollars. They're in a geographic farm flyer program. Okay. Which means they're reminding people they're in the business and I call it the mayor program, actually. So if you're running for mayor or for a politician's position, you've got to get out there and advertise yourself. So you've got to be the popular person in the area, signs on lawns, right? But what they do to become mayor, if somebody become mayor, they get out there, they get on video, TV, advertising. They're on every, postcard that they send out that telling them all about their campaign platform and everything. That's the same thing. If you've ever run for mayor, okay, you can be a very effective real estate agent by spending the money to do that. Okay. But it does cost money, right? For an area of 1,800 homes, let's say, you're spending $6,000 a year, right? But it's a return on investment and you should get up to about a 10 times. Okay. So if you spend 6, you make 60. You should be a 10 times return on your investment in any paid advertising source. So I like to look at agents that have done business in the past, where they've spent their money, what their return was. And if they're not maximizing that return, then they might look at trying something new or changing the way they do it within that program if they're not making any money from that program. I will tell you, though, this takes a lot of budgeting, but also consistency. So doing one of these programs, any one of them for a year, is not going to give you enough of a return to show that if it's working, right? Farming, for example, if you're only sending out one flyer per month for 12 months, 1 year is not going to give you a return. It's not enough. You need to be doing it twice a month for a full year to 2 years to 3 years in order to start to making a lot more than 10 times the return on investment. So it does take a lot of time and effort. But the people that do this well usually have a very good business background. They've taken business in school and understand ROI. Okay, because every business that is in this world that we live in, Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musks, everybody has a business plan. And they spend a certain amount and they look to get a return on that. Okay. So this is a program and we'll be more than willing to sit down with you and develop those programs out to make sure that they get the right return on your investment. The last thing is prospecting, which is time. So if you don't have the money and you don't have a big sphere of influence and you want to get into meeting new people, you're going to have to prospect, right? You're going to have to spend some time meeting people. And I put down door knocking and cold calling as the two top, right? So we always talk about door knocking and cold calling. Each one of those, again, has a business plan within inside of it, right? Door knocking, yes, it's door knocking, but really it's got to be a system. Right? There's something you have to offer, something you have to have a dialogue to say. But if you get out there and do enough of it, it works. The bottom line, it works. I know it works because we have agents that are currently doing it and actually making a good living doing it. And a lot of them aren't even doing it really effectively. What they're doing is they're doing a lot of it. If you knock on enough doors and call enough people, there's where the luck comes in. You want to luck into a listing tomorrow, knock on a bunch of doors, right? Eventually you'll figure it out, right? Hopefully we can teach you and get you doing it the right way. But if you knock enough I'm a real estate agent just looking to see if you want to sell your property. Well, you know what? We were thinking about it. On the 100th door you knock, you might get luck into somebody at the right time. Remember, it's a time and preparation meets opportunity. So prepare yourself properly, put yourself in a position to talk to somebody. If it's the right time for them, you're going to get a good lead and possibly list a house. So that's door knocking. Cold calling, same thing. We have telelisting. Actually, I know Jalal and John, a couple of managers, are on the call right now. I was thinking of this the other day. I don't think we promote telelisting enough and tell people about it enough. I didn't realize, there are agents out there currently, I didn't realize, paying for it themselves, $300-400 a month because their brokerage does not provide it to them. I couldn't believe it. I didn't realize that. So I now know that, it is, the value's there. It's just that maybe we need to promote it a bit more, and people aren't doing it anymore, right? People aren't making those calls because they think it's anti-spam list. They can't do it. Well, our telelisting system, which is in Remarketer, you click on it. Everyone has an account. So if you go in there and you call the ones that are in white instead of red, that's allowed. We are allowed to call the people that are not on the do not call list. And because people aren't doing it anymore, there's a lot more opportunity. I have somebody that's currently doing a test for me. I said, I want you to spend $500 on ads, or however much, 5,000 if they have to get 100 leads. So 100 people you're going to call off of an online ad, and it's going to cost money. Then I want you to make 100 calls on the telemarketing system. I want you to tell me what the return, what the rate of conversion is, or interest, or how many home evaluations did you do from both systems. I would beg to believe that if it's not the same, it's better through telelisting, because the person that submitted the online form, they may be interested, but they've had 10 people call them and they're frustrated. They don't want to talk to an agent anymore. They're upset that these agents are contacting them. Whereas the person that hasn't talked to an agent in 6 months or doesn't have an agent got a phone call from you because you're the only one calling them. They're not online. So I actually think telelisting can be more effective than online leads. And that's my prediction. So we'll see if that runs true. But you've got door knocking, cold calling, open houses, great source of income. Some people love them, some people don't. If you're personable and you know the area and you know something about real estate or the houses, and you have a gift of being somebody that people bump into and just say, yeah, I'd like to work with that person, you can be very, very profitable in open houses. So try and do as many as you can. We're now able to do in-person open houses, which is a great new opportunity. And if you don't have a listing, start networking with the agents within our company. We have 700 agents with hundreds of listings. Start calling the listing agents and just saying, would you be interested in having me host an open house for you? Because a lot of them would like to provide that extra service to their client. Maybe they're not willing to do it. So there's opportunities for open houses. Network groups, those are great. There's lots of them out there again. You can start one. And those are like breakfast clubs that you've invited a lawyer, doctor, dentist, whatever, it could be an auto mechanic. It could be, it could be a cleaning service, a stager. But these are people within your community that are also looking for business. And if you help and network amongst those people, help each other out, they can become a good source for referrals for you. And then you got trade shows as well. And that's things like the home show. In each of our communities, we have home shows and stuff. So these are ways to get out and prospect, spend some time meeting people. Other things that could be in here, it could be church groups, organizations, charitable groups. These are all different things that people prospect within. It could be a gym, your gym that you work out in. Start sponsoring some events at the gym and meet new people that way. So this is prospecting, and we've got a worksheet on here. I'll show you how the worksheet works. If you wanted to do some door knocking, I can tell you, let's say your budget at the top of here, let's say we go back to the sphere of influence and you realize that your minimum potential income is 80,000, right? And you say, that's not enough, right? I need to make more and I don't have the money to spend. So I need to prospect. I do want to do some door knocking, but I need to make an extra $50,000. So that's where you put the income goal from prospecting at the top and work your way back. So I want to make 50,000. And I'll do this calculation for you. So you put 50 at the top, divide this by your average commission. We said 15,000. So 50 people, 50,000 divided by the average commission, which was 15,000, equals 3.33. Okay, this is the amount of transactions you need. You need to make 3.33 transactions to achieve your goal. Divide by the listing presentation success rate, because you're going to go on a listing presentation when you're door knocking, and I'm the agent to use, and 1 in 3 you should be able to get. So divide that number by 33.33. So it's 33%, which is 10. So you need to go on 10 listing presentations this year in order to get those 3 listings and make your 50,000. Divide it by the average success of a lead. So when you go door knocking and you get a lead, which means, yeah, I'm interested in selling, possibly in the future, 1 in 10 are going to invite you in on a listing presentation. So the listing presentation success rate is about 10%. So divide the 10 by 10%, which is 101. So that's the amount of contacts you need to make, okay, in order to make the 50,000, right? In order to do the 3 listing, get the 3 listings from the 10 listing appointments. So you need to have 101 leads is really what that is. Okay. And then divide it by 44 weeks a year, and you get 2.29 leads per week. And in order to get 2.29 leads, you need to knock on a certain amount of doors. And the industry success rate of a door knock is 2%. So divide 2.29, okay, by 0.02, 114 doors every week. This is how that worksheet works. I know it's a little confusing, but hopefully you can get through that. 50,000 is 114 doors that you need to knock every week. So let's figure that out. How many doors can you knock in per day if you're going to do 2 hours a day, right? Maybe it's 30, 40. So that means you're going to need to knock on, right? Or you're going to go out 3 times a week for 2 hours a day. And you'll do your 114 doors. You'll get your 2 leads. You'll get your 10 listing presentations, your 3 listings, and you make your 50,000. And by the way, listings are listings to last, right? Listings are gold, which means that 50,000 potential income is actually much more. 50 is what you're going to make from those 3 deals, but each of them may have to buy something too. So now you've doubled that, you're at 100,000. And each of them you're going to put on your sphere of influence and keep in touch with them. And in the next 10 years, you're going to do another $200,000-$300,000 from those people because they're going to buy and sell with you again. They're going to refer you to others. You're going to create A clients. This is how the business works. Okay. You meet somebody, you do business with them, you provide great service, they reuse you again, and they refer you to others. But unless these systems are in place to actively keep meeting people, putting them into your sphere of influence, right? You need to be organized. You need to have a CRM system. You need to send these newsletters and note cards and do these actions. So in order to do that, you put those goals on your action plan at the bottom, transfer that over to something called week at a glance or month at a glance. Okay, so I would use both and say every week I need to do something to accomplish that goal. So it could be to call my 3 people, follow up on these people, do my open houses, do my door knocking, right? So every week you're going to do it consistently. So I'm going to show you a worksheet to help you plot that and plan it, as well as every month. Every month I need to make a certain amount of calls for this or do an ad for that. So you'll have other monthly type goals every month as well. I'm a digital person to an extent. I like writing certain things down. So I'm just going to really quick just run down these. This is called a week at a glance, and this is called a month at a glance. It's the same thing, right? You've got your days of the week. You got your mornings, evenings, afternoons, and some notes. And you're going to turn this the other way so you can actually see it. But in order to fit on a piece of paper and be printable, this is the way you'll print it. So Monday mornings, what do? Plot your personal things first, right? So if you go on date nights with your wife on Wednesdays or your husband or whatever, then Wednesday night, evenings, you block off. I'm not available Wednesday evenings. Monday mornings, you take your kids to some, sports class, whatever, then mark off Mondays. You work out Tuesday mornings till 11, then block off till 11 on Tuesday mornings, Thursday mornings, and Friday mornings. So block these off. And then what you're going to do is say, I want to do my prospecting on Tuesday afternoons. I'm going to do my open houses once a week, every Sunday afternoon, right? So if you plot it on a chart like this and then transfer it onto your phone as a recurring event on your calendar, it'll also remind you. But these worksheets help plot out your time blocking and accountability. That's week at a glance and month at a glance. Now I'm going to go back because there's some tips I want to show you. The hint, start work every day at the same time. We as real estate agents are the worst for this, but the good agents that are busy, they're actually working at 7 a.m., right? Most of the other agents are waking up at 10 because they can, right? You're your own boss now. You're taking some liberties. Fine, no problem. But make sure the earlier, the better to start your day. The organization and administration is always done in the morning. You do not want to be sitting at your desk at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to plan your day. It doesn't make any sense, right? So book yourself in on your prospect sheet or your, not your prospect sheet, your goal sheet there, or your accountability, your week at a glance, for every morning that you're not working out or at a certain time in the morning, you're going to start work, let's say at 9 o'clock, sit at your desk, and you're from 9 to 10, you're calling, making appointments for the rest of the day. You're following up on feedback on your listings. You're planning The rest of your week, every morning, you should be doing those actionable administrative items first thing in the morning and get your day planned for the rest of the day. It gets everything out of the way. You don't have to worry about anything as the day progresses because you're already organized. Book around your time blocked appointments. This is a really good tip. I got it from Chris Leader when I took his course. He was very good at, if somebody calls you and says, would you like to would you like to come in and give me an evaluation of your home? I said, that'd be great. He said, well, can you come tonight at 7? Well, let me check my schedule. I actually have something at 7 o'clock. Could we do, and you may have, if you have something blocked at 7 o'clock, I have something blocked already at 7 o'clock. Can you do tomorrow evening instead? And if they say, no, really, we need you in tonight at 7, I say, I'll call you right back. So you get off the phone, you switch your prospecting, which you're doing at 7 o'clock tonight. You're going to move it and you're going to call the person back and say, listen, you took the other appointment. They were able to change their schedule in order to accommodate. So yes, I'll be able to do tonight at 7. What you're doing is you're showing them you're a busy person, that you're willing to move things around for them. But if you have something blocked like prospecting, try work around it. If you're always booking over top of your prospecting or over top of your calls, you're always letting yourself down and you're never building your business the way you should be consistently. So try and book around that. But if you have to take that appointment, go ahead, let them know that you moved your schedule around in order to accommodate, no problem. And they'll respect you for doing that. People respect busy people. If you said, yeah, no problem, 7 o'clock tonight's great, they're gonna be like, oh, this person's not very busy. Right. So yeah, it's a good way to also perceive yourself in the industry. So next, have somebody else hold you accountable for your prospecting and your business. Okay, it could be a family member, friend, a realtor. Again, it was a good tip that I got from Chris Leader. He said, everyone should have somebody in the family that holds them accountable. It could be your 10-year-old daughter, right? Every time you tell your 10-year-old daughter, listen, you know what I do for a living? Yeah, you sell houses, daddy. Okay. One of the things I also do is meet new people, and I want to make sure I meet enough people every day or talk to enough people every day. So there's certain things I need you to hold me accountable for. You're going to help me in my business. You're going to be my partner. And she's going to be so excited, right? She's excited to help daddy out, right? So you ask her that every time you get home from work, you ask 2 questions. How many people did you talk to today, Dad? And how many houses did you sell? And if she reminds you every single day, there's not one person you're going to be better to hold you accountable than your kids. And trust me, it definitely works. So have your kids ask you those questions. Not only will they feel involved, but even when there is a tough situation where your kid's got a baseball game and you couldn't make it, you say, listen, I was out selling a house. They understand. They start to know because they're a part of your business. So it helps out, not just from an accountability standpoint, but just in a life perspective. So get your kids involved, get your family involved. Review your business plan a few times a year. If you get a chance, maybe quarterly, put it in your schedule to review what we've gone over. Business plans change and goals sometimes get forgotten. So if you've put 4 things as the 4 things you want to do over the next 6 months, make sure you follow up in 6 months, put it in your calendar to review what you've done and accomplished to make sure those goals are actually happening. Some people review it monthly, some do it quarterly, some do it bi-yearly. Okay, the more the better, obviously, but it depends where you are in your business, right? At the beginning, you might do it more often. Some people have the system running, it's doing great. Every year it's the same thing. So they maybe only do it twice a year. So depending on how that works for you. Move all the way down to a quick tax planning exercise, just to finish things off. Obviously, real estate agents, we control our own taxes, and depending on whether or not you have a personal real estate corporation, which, by the way, unless you're making 300 or more, you're probably not putting that money aside for investment purpose and stuff. So it probably doesn't make sense to have a personal corporation. However, everyone pays taxes. So you're going to need to take a percentage of your taxes and put it into an account separately to pay every year. One of the things we offer is if you emailed heritage.accounting@century21.ca, we will hold back your HST so you don't spend it because you don't That's not yours, it's the government's. So you don't spend it, as well as your taxes. If you wanted to put a percentage, I used to put 15% of my gross income towards taxes because you have write-offs as well as 10 or be 10% or 13% of HST. I also ended up putting about 15% also for advertising into a separate account, and the company can do that for you. We'd like to hold you accountable. We'd like to help you out where we can. If you want to do it yourself, that's fine. If you're a top producer and you're looking at a business plan, I'm not saying top producer. I'm going to say if you're to the point where you've got a great business running, okay, and you're looking back and saying, what percentage of my gross income can I put towards my let's say all of that, which is my taxes, my advertising, et cetera. 50% of your business probably goes back into your business, everything that you know, and if it's not, you're probably not doing a great return on investment. Pam used to say always that she would do 50%. She would put 50% away for all the things she needs to pay for, including her advertising. And then at the end of the year, if she happens to have extra money in there, she would pay herself a little bonus. And that's how she would put money towards a car, a vacation, etc. So you can treat it like it is a personal real estate corporation. Treat it like it's your own business. Because if you do it this way, you'll have money set aside for your advertising, which I ended up doing about 5 years into the business. And then every year, it was every 6 months, we'd ask for that money to put towards the next bench or bus or a farm flyer program or whatever. And it's prepaid, right? It's the best way to do business. Don't go in debt in order to do things. Let's take the sphere of influence money that you make in the first few years, take a percentage of that off for your future return on investment. And that's a good business plan. So if you want to talk more about that, we can, but that's a great system. So we'll go right back down to the bottom, sorry. Session 2 homework, preview again, 10 homes per week. Make sure to go through it. You can start going through homes again, right? You're going to start doing open houses again and previewing properties. But to get out there, at least know what's happening within your marketplace. Add 10 more people into your contact or CRM. Keep asking for, by the way you should be asking for addresses is just giving them a call and saying, hi, it's Aaron Richardson. I know we haven't spoken in a while. My apologies. I want to be more organized. So what I'm doing is giving you a call because I don't have your address in my system. And I'd love to send you a birthday card and a note card and stuff from time to time and keep in touch with you. Do you mind if I grab that? So you tell them right up front that the reason why you're calling is to be more organized and get their address. And then you can say, how's the family and everything after. If you do it in the reverse format, which is, hey, how's it going? How's the family? How's life? How are the kids? Oh, by the way, can I get your address? It seems it doesn't work as well, put it that way. It just doesn't come across the right way. It's like you're being fake, right? So try and put the business up front when you make those phone calls and get those addresses. Schedule the next Quickstart 3 with the manager. We have another 3 coming up on video that we're going to do possibly either next week or the week after. I just haven't checked the schedule. Have a look for that. We do have Quickstart session 3 from last year still on the drive if you wanted, or on the YouTube channel if you wanted to watch that as well. And if you haven't sat down with your manager to do Quickstart 3, you book that in with your manager. Hand in your business plan to your manager. We like to keep those on file. So as soon as you have that completed, give that to your manager. We'll put it in your file. And then in 6 months, if you want to come on in and go through it again, and that way we can help you as well, keep you on track. And fill in and complete your time blocking. So get those things, those actionable items that we talked about in the business plan into your time blocking, into your phone as well. And this is actually one of my favorite quotes. I have this on a plaque on my wall. It's successful people are often successful because they are willing to do things unsuccessful people are not willing to do, right? The things that other people aren't willing to do are the things that are going to make you successful. And so look to be different, look to try new things and do the things that are sometimes hard. Right? Get outside your box, make some calls, knock on some doors, but you don't have to, just so you know, from a prospect, you don't have to go up to a front door and say, give me business, right? That's not what we're asking you to do, right? We don't think that that's the best way to prospect. The best way to prospect, go up to that front door. It may be a farm area that you're working in, or it's your area, or just introduce yourself. I'm a local realtor. I just want to introduce myself, give you my card. You have a lovely house, and just leave it at that. That's a great way to introduce yourself to a farm area. Other times it's about another sale down the road. So make it fun, make it something that's genuine, and you'll be more likely to do it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our video, please hit the like button, the subscribe, and even the little bell to get notifications, just so you can stay in touch and watch more of these great videos.